my very favorite people is here to talk about how to choose your next home. Jill Butler is the owner of a brokerage in St. Louis, Missouri, Red Key Realty Leaders, and is great at helping people figure out what they really want. And Andrea is going to join here in the conversation because you're in this world too of seeing people buying and selling and all that kind of stuff. So Jill, when people start out looking for a home, and throughout all of the episodes of this show, we've talked about all the different ways to do that. You're looking at location, you're having to figure out the money, all of that. But at the deep emotional part of it is you're looking for something specific to meet your family needs or your own needs.
That's right.
So how do you start that process of figuring out what you want?
So I think real estate is such an interesting investment. And it's kind of emotional, and it's also mental as far as like, it's a way to build wealth. So we really, people always have a dream to buy a house, but it's also like the realtor can help you figure out, is this a good area? Is it hopefully going to appreciate? What problems do I want to avoid? What's important on kind of the financial, mental, analytical side? But for the buyer, it's also very emotional because it's where they, celebrate birthdays and where they, have family and friends and milestones, and it can really impact your sense of security and community. So I think each buyer has to think about what's important to them. So that I always encourage, start with, we'll do sort of a needs analysis of what's important to you. Is it school district? Is it type of home? Is it location? Is it age of home? Many different factors. But then we also want to get to, beyond that checklist, what's kind of the deeper thing that's making you want to purchase a home.
So, and a lot of people say when they walk into the home, they feel it. Have you felt that before?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes,
definitely.
and I have too. So how real is that in your experience working with buyers?
I would say, and this is sort of to sellers, but don't underestimate the emotional impact that you want to create in your home. So I have had this many times where it could be a great deal. It could be the best cost per square foot in a neighborhood, and you show it to your buyer and you think, okay, this is what they say, they want to get a great deal.
Right.
And you show it to them and they're not feeling it. And you have to think that they have to write the mortgage check every month. So will they be happy? Will they feel happy about writing that check every month? So a lot of it is, does it hit those emotional needs? So I do think for most buyers, they want it to work out on paper, but they need to feel connected
So that's
to the house.
real.
Yeah.
That's real.
Do you see that there are certain rooms that bring more emotions than other rooms? I mean, are they really focused into the kitchen or the master bedroom, or is there certain areas?
Great question.
Yeah, I think for most it's going to be sort of kitchen, hearth room, and again, so if you've shown a lot of houses, I usually ask the question, could you see yourself having Thanksgiving here with the family?
Oh, that's great. I love
Yeah,
that.
and then all of a sudden they start thinking and it's going to be a yes or no. Like, I want my family to be here, or it's a great deal, but I'm just not in love with it.
And my home that I'm in now, that's exactly, it was, I could imagine holidays there with everyone coming, the extended family, the kids, everyone. That's exactly, you're so right there.
Yeah.
So when people have their list of 10 things, they've got to have the 3-car garage, the 2 full baths, the finished lower level, the screened-in porch, the acre.
Like
everything.
Right.
The swimming
At a
pool.
great price.
Yeah, the
Right.
swimming pool.
Yeah.
And they keep looking for that.
Yes.
And it doesn't exist.
So a couple things. First, especially for first-time buyers, I think there's a little bit of a shock. Like you watch HGTV and everything's beautiful, and then they get their first house and they're like, what? It's not the way I saw it on TV.
Right.
So I encourage them, your first house isn't your last house. So you want to get into the game. You want to start to build equity, and just keep that in mind. You may not get everything on your first house. But I also think, I recently talked to some buyers and they're moving from a small town, they're retired, and they want to be closer to their kids, their adult kids. So they had their big list, and I think there's a little sticker shock coming to St. Louis from a smaller town. But just that, newer construction and ranch, maybe an atrium ranch, enough land, but super close to everything, et cetera, et cetera. And they could find it, but it was not the right location.
Yeah.
And they went back and forth, like, here's their dream house, and it had the emotional impact. But we sat down and talked about, okay, let's wave a magic wand. It's a year from now, and you're living there. What's that like? What are you feeling? And the number one thing that came up was they were really moving to be close to family.
Yeah.
And even if they had this beautiful house, if it was 45 minutes away and people weren't stopping by to have coffee, they felt like they would not have achieved the goal of why they're moving.
And it's so funny, Jill, because I remember when I got into real estate way back when, it was always location, location, location. Sounds like it hasn't changed.
I think that's very true. It's like, you can change a lot of things in the interior or exterior of the home,
Right.
but where it's located, you can't change that.
Yeah. So in addition to that, the checklist, right? The big kitchen, the island, the big master bath, whatever. And that home, they keep looking and they're not finding all those things. How do you help buyers prioritize, or how would you advise a buyer to prioritize their list?
And I don't know why, but I do always I think about the future a bit. So I would just say it's a year from now. And kind of the emotional feeling has passed. So we're in the frenzy right now. And then what's really important, and I also think this is where an agent or someone can help them. Sometimes I think people love the interior of a home, but we can help them recreate that in another home. So sometimes it's helping them step back, and the thing right in front of them may not hit every box, but if it's the location they want and has the floor plan and some of the amenities, we can help them create the design as far as like interior.
Yeah.
Have a good team that can get you there.
That could change. That's perfect. So thank you so much, Jill. That's a great way to wrap, and we appreciate you being here with us today. Thanks to Jill Butler, and thank you for joining us today for more great tips on buying and selling homes. I'm Sarah Bernard with Real Life.